Call meeting to order at 7 o'clock, April 13th, 2026. Approval of agenda. Anything extra additional to add to the agenda tonight? Okay. Approve the agenda as presented.
Did you say I move the agenda? Oh, second. I just thought he said we're doing the agenda. No, reading his note.
Read my note.
If nothing changes, why do we need a motion?
I guess not. There you go.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Let's get moving.
Let's get moving.
Public forum, 5 minutes per person for any non-agenda related topics.
Can we talk about the weather? No, you see that? He shut me right down. I wasn't
The weather. You can talk about the weather.
It's raining. You're not a community member that you have to wait for the select board for.
All right, let's forget any. Okay. Consent agenda. We've got 3 items for that. We have the approval of past meeting minutes from March 23rd. We have the approval of check warrant. We to have signing of the resolution of the communities of Addison. All those were
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
second. Okay, we have a motion second. Further discussion.
Just what's the business? That's the sign note.
No, this is first.
Yeah, it was sent out as a part of the notes.
It's Senator on base camp.
Nope, it's not.
No,
It was
it didn't go on
emailed to you.
vacation.
Any further discussion?
We need the warrant. What's the warrant? Should be right on the front page there, guys.
$153,034.43. That's some good money.
It's connecting.
Okay.
Give it time.
Yes, please. All right, all those in favor of consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Those against, nay. Motion carries. Regular business. Okay, 5A, the Bristol Equity Committee presentation. Bristol, good evening. Thank you for coming. Do you want to?
Do you have a presentation?
I do.
Okay. You can pull it
I
out.
can share that.
Great. Just in case stuff. Hello.
Okay.
Is everyone doing?
Stand out.
Technology. You get a new phone.
You have the floor.
Okay, great. I'm Krista Sternda for those of you that I don't know. And I'm not sure if Darla Senecal or Brian Plant will be joining us via Zoom, but we are the 3 former, I guess at this point, members of the Equity Committee, the last members of the group that is deeply passionate and also overcommitted. And so I want to share this report, which is reflective of a lot of what was shared in the town report, and just say that, we really do feel this work's super important and would love to see it continue in some way, despite the fact that the 3 of us are stepping down. Mm-hmm. So, for those of you that might not know, a little bit after 2020 and the comes from Hey, Brian.
Sorry, I was having computer issues and decided to do 3 updates at the same time, crashed on me, so my apologies.
That always seems to happen.
Thanks for joining us, Brian.
No problem.
Brian, I don't know if Darla is coming, but I was just gonna start running through the presentation, if that's okay with you.
That's fine. I figured if nothing else, I was here for moral support, and if there had anything that we forgot, I could chime in.
Well, I did just start by saying we all really are very committed to this work, even though we're stepping down from the committee, but please jump in at any point with anything that you think I should clarify or you want to add. So, there's a lot of energy right around 2020, 2021 with the murder of George Floyd and the racial reckoning that took place across the country. And I think as part of that wave, the town adopted a Declaration of Inclusion in 2021. And primarily, I believe, spearheaded by Porter Knight, who's done so much in our community. The town pursued a grant with the Vermont Community Foundation to develop training around ensuring that Bristol is a place welcoming to everyone, and especially those folks that are often marginalized and less representative in our community. And so that grant initially involved putting together some training materials and hiring a consultant to conduct workshops and training with town staff, which some folks participated in. Reviewing materials and the outfacing materials of the town for places where more inclusive language could be adopted, and provided a series of recommended next steps. And some of those I think are linked in the presentation. And one of those was to form an equity committee. And we trying to remember how all of us were recruited. I have a feeling pretty similarly to the way I was, which was Porter seeing me in town and saying, hey, this would be a great thing. Would you like to participate?
Yeah, I'm only one step different that I accidentally ran into Ian sitting out on my front porch, and then he made the connection to Porter, and then I joined on.
Yeah. And I think because, I know Brian is involved in a ton of different committees representing lots of diverse perspectives. Darla does a ton of work with the early ed community, and I'm involved in a lot of disability work. And so yeah, this initial group included the three of us, but as well as some other community members and a representative from the town who I think at the time was Taylor Welch from the Bristol Rec department. And so we had a lot of great energy initially and really focused first on thinking about what our work was designed to do. And out of that came up with this draft mission statement that our work was to ensure that Bristol is a vibrant, sustainable, and accessible community where all feel welcome, safe, and respected, and where all value diversity. So after that, we thought we really wanted to get input from the community on what specifically that looked like for folks. And Jess actually introduced us to Alex Lightford, who's a statistics professor at Middlebury College, and was in one of his classes actually working with CBOEO, Champlain Valley Office of Economic Opportunity, they were doing their annual survey, I think it is. And they agreed to allow us to add 4 questions specifically for the Bristol community, which was great because they have a big reach. They reach a lot of folks who might not otherwise be represented in some surveys that we might do. They already had a group that was going to analyze their results. It was just like perfect timing and a great way for us to ask these questions of our community. And so those are the questions on the screen. What makes Bristol thrive? When is the Bristol community at its best? What do you need to be supported by the Bristol community? When do you feel valued by the Bristol community? And what would you want others to say about Bristol 20 years from now? Here comes Porter. Yeah. And so we really wanted to help to gauge what was important to our community and also to identify what we're doing well, what our challenges are, and to help support the decisions that the select board makes as you consider the future of our town.
So highlights from the survey, I don't think would be surprising to anyone that folks really value the neighborliness, the community feeling of Bristol, the participation that the level of involvement and participation of many people in our community. The strong institutions, walkability, and volunteerism also stood out. Key challenges not unique to Bristol, and large issues across the whole state. Housing was a big one. Accessibility and inclusion also mentioned. So more specifically, what makes Bristol thrive? You can see here, a lot of the things that you see folks remark on in Front Porch Forum and many other places. Why people really like being here and want it to continue to be a thriving community. And then challenges and needs, again, nothing that would surprise anyone. And I think there are things that folks are talking about and trying to solve for way beyond the scope of the equity committee, and some also probably beyond the scope of this select board, but I think they're all really important issues. And they impact how well people feel welcomed in Bristol.
What year was the survey conducted?
2024. Yeah. And I want to say spring or late winter. So people really feel valued in our community in lots of ways, from one-on-one connections with their neighbors and just the welcoming feel you get from walking around town and being recognized by folks by name, but also to the way that events in our community are accessible and inclusive of folks in a lot of different ways. '20-year community vision. It would be really interesting to see how this might match what the town planning work reflects.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of this is keeping what we have here, but also finding ways to make sure people can afford to stay here. And then there's some references in the survey to civic inclusion. So how do we keep fostering community when people have a lot of different perspectives and come from different backgrounds? And how can we create spaces that allow people to come together even across those differences?
I think with the town, with that over the next couple of years, there's a lot of this that's going to probably dovetail into that. I mean, community members and residents will be able to take surveys and have a voice in terms of similar things that happened here.
Yep.
So I see a lot of this coming back in that reporting.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's great. So the survey brought forth some ways that we identified could be quick wins toward ensuring that our community stays or increases its inclusion and equitability across a wide variety of folks. I think that the select board is doing a really nice job of trying to find ways to get community input on a variety of topics in a variety of formats, and just their presence at town meeting is a great example of that. So I think finding opportunities to have informal and formal ways to listen to what is important to people is something that's really important. And beyond just surveys, creating space for those conversations for people to provide input. Accessibility checklist and use of small grants. So I think that refers to some of the infrastructure and the lack of accessibility to a lot of the spaces in our community, and exploring, this was written 2024. The grant landscape is a little bit different now. Exploring the possibility of grants to pursue ways to support our businesses in town to becoming more accessible. Another thing that came out of the work with Tabitha Moore, who was the consultant that was hired at the beginning of this equity work, was using an equity decision-making tool. That's I think a low-hanging fruit opportunity for the select board in particular, when you're contemplating long-term planning, like the town plan. Recognize before decisions are made, determining who is impacted and in what ways, positive and negative, by these decisions, and looking at making sure that all community members from a range of backgrounds are represented in those decisions. Other ways are helping people understand where they can find resources and support, and launching a Hello Bristol kindness campaign. Porter, I saw you jumped on, so I'm running us quickly through our survey, but I think this was one of your brain babies. Brian, do you want to jump in on anything here?
I think the only thing that I stuck out was when you're talking about being mindful of, who's impacted when decisions are made, but also I think Tabitha, numerous times we bring up, like, what are we missing? Who are we missing? What are we trying to be mindful that, we're not capturing, potentially not capturing everything or every view or impact that's out there. Or at least being mindful of that.
Longer term, it's just a small lift to do some of this.
Small list with large projects.
Small lift, short list, big lift.
Big numbers.
Yeah, and we all know what we're working on. Oh, thanks, Porter. So the welcome packets is not the same thing as the kindness campaign. Yes. Thank you. We talked about having signs in it that we could offer to businesses, all are welcome here, banners along those same lines. So I think that might be some of the more specific examples for that kindness campaign.
And also given the last couple of years, a lot of businesses have their own unique signs related to what's happened over those last couple of years.
Yep.
And I'd say the strengthen regional partnerships, I think that's already happening. Work in various ways is begun.
So this is kind of a conclusion of the survey, recognizing that we are a really great place with a lot of commitment from community members to keep it that way. But recognizing that even when we have our best intentions at heart, it still takes very intentional action to ensure that we're being equitable, especially when we don't maybe represent the identities of all of the people that might be experiencing harm or on the margins. So, finding deliberate ways to bring in those voices is really important. Or just put something else in the chat. Can you just open the chat?
I think she offered to share the
Share that.
equity decision-making tool with us.
Yeah, the
Great.
We
little,
have it. We have it actually.
yeah, I was gonna say, we have.
Oh, awesome. Have you used it all?
I didn't even know we had it.
Yeah. It sits on the table, it's not on the side, it's standing up.
Oh, I think I saw this when Porter made it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks. This is
I
great.
actually have it in my office.
And it's part of a process that's not necessarily being decided on in meetings. It's already been decided on and looked at before anything comes to the table.
Exactly. That's the goal,
Yes,
is that it is
Yeah.
a more deliberative,
yes.
proactive thinking
right.
about something rather than after the fact. And it really does wind up being more efficient and expedient and effective when you design for inclusion at
Yeah.
the start rather than trying to, it's sort of like throwing a ramp on an old house after the fact.
Right.
Versus the one that's built in to the foundation from the beginning. So we have a link to the survey results. That's a dashboard, which is kind of fun to look at. And then we had a couple of other just recommendations about the committee itself. So this is a link to the other recommendations that came out of both our committee's work and the work with a consultant. So that's a pretty long list, but
Yeah,
um
and that's a couple of years old.
That's a couple
I didn't
of
know if
years
you have
old.
An updated version of that, or it was linked that Darla had sent. I just wanted to make sure.
no.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
we don't. But then, in thinking about, I mean, it's hard to say why we really struggled to do much more than we did. I mean, I think it's interesting because all around our community, we see people doing this work in so many different ways. There's the group that's going to get together on April 29th at the high school to talk about just, thriving in this, kind of intense moment we're living in. They've had a couple of community roundtables. There's people that are, packing food at the food shelf. There are just so many folks doing so many different things on the ground to support one another, and especially the people who might need that support more than others. So I think this work is different because it's kind of like thinking about some of the stuff that might be a little bit less sexy, which is like the nuts and bolts of how we operate as a town and our structures and systems and processes. And so I think that's challenging, but it's also like probably one of the more impactful ways to make a longer term difference. And I think, I know for myself, I'm now doing a lot of equity work as work, and so it's hard to then also do this as a volunteer opportunity. We also really struggle with not having a dedicated chair. We tried to share that work and pass it around every meeting. We really need someone to kind of keep moving things along, and we struggled with that. So I hope it continues. But that's where we're kind of at right now. That's great.
Yeah, the chair is an important part. It's just you need someone who's sort of guiding that.
Yeah.
But I will say, even though it's memberless at the moment, it's not going to be dissolved or anything like that. I think if people are interested, they should get in touch with the town. I know that there are also other challenges too in terms of concern with the publicness of this kind of work, the environment that came and that we're now in.
Yeah.
So there was concern about that.
Yeah.
But hopefully that changes for the better.
Yeah.
As we go through the next few years,
I hope
and
so.
at least there's more people interested in this and willing to do this. But as you said, people are still doing it in these other ways, not necessarily through a charging committee.
Right.
I had a question though about the structure of it. So something that I've seen sort of at the higher education level is that there was this focus on bringing in specific people with an expertise and a focus on diversity and inclusion. And what we saw, irrespective of this particular moment that we're in it politically, is that there was already a movement underway to say that if equity work is only being done in one part, it's never going to be effective because it takes so long to embed it in other parts.
Yeah.
And I wondered if maybe this would be an opportunity for us to rethink the structure. And so maybe instead of, and I haven't thought of this before, I'm just throwing it out here now, but maybe instead of having like a dedicated committee that meets and then brings things to us, maybe if we could find members on other committees who wanted to do this work and would be willing to meet sort of informally or formally, like once a month or something, but then they're actually embedded on other committees. So that instead of coming up with an equity tool that we're supposed to use here, maybe we can embed that in the regular work of all the committees.
That would be the goal for sure, would be that this is just the order of operations for all of the things that happen in the town.
And you don't need a unique committee. It's just you need unique members who meet together so they coordinate and discuss.
Yeah.
But a lot of the work that they're doing then is spread out through other committees. Like planning and.
Right. Yeah, because that's where the actual work is happening and the decisions are being made. And so when you think about zoning, like that's a huge one where there could be baked in inequities that people don't even realize, or there could be great opportunities for
I
greater.
noticed that actually in the survey, the number of times that walkability came up, the idea of inclusion, not just being like a feeling, but like a physical landscape, that an inclusive environment is a built environment that includes everybody, makes it easy to access.
Yeah.
So that says to me that, being on planning, sidewalk committees, those sorts of things, that would be really important.
Yep.
So I don't know how we go about any of that, but that's just what I was thinking as you were talking. I'm like, if there's no one on the committee, this is a great time to redesign it.
Yeah, I think that's valid because siloing this work is problematic.
Right, because once you do the survey, then what comes next,
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work.
Porter and
Sure.
Ryan,
Yes,
and,
yes.
yeah.
And I'm still around,
So you
My
can.
husband won't let me raise my hand now.
I can still tag you.
After school board, he's like, no more. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Krista.
Night.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I raise my hand? This is Porter.
And raise your hand, Porter. Good evening.
Hi, sorry, I'm out of town, so I'm not in a place where I can share screen, but I just wanted to add that I feel like I deliberately didn't participate actively after the first year and a half of so of the equity committee's work because I wanted to make sure that there were other voices involved. If you'll recall that I sort of got the ball rolling with the 2 grants for the town. Initially, Valerie was very interested and supportive, but admitted after the first grant round with VCF that she just didn't have time to commit to this. I think that became quite problematic. I think that there needed to be more town involvement, as Krista also indicated in her report, that, we never did get a dedicated town person. There was supposed to be someone, it was going to be Taylor, and then it wasn't, and then we never had anybody. And I think that not having committed town leadership involved or even town employee engagement was challenging because it made it hard for them to see actual tangible practical things that they could do. And so I think that if the town really wants to look for increasing more equitable outcomes, and I think what we found in the survey is that absolutely people love Bristol. It's wonderful, which is why this is so important. It's not because it's a bad town, it's because it is a wonderful town. But that's also true that there are people who experience that less, and there's opportunities. And again, Krista alluded to it, but they're systemic. And I hope that if the select board, continues to espouse the value in being a community that embraces genuine equity, that the select board and the town leadership will be able to make the time to look for tangible ways to both understand where some decision-making processes or policies are not equitable and to grow into greater equity. And I love the idea, Jessica, of having it be more embedded in all the committees. But it's going to require more energy there. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And I hope that if, that it's not a question of you just receiving the report and saying, well, that was a nice interlude. We're good now. I hope that there's more that you guys hope for. That's all. So thanks for letting me unmute and share that.
Sure. Thank you, Porter.
Thank you.
Okay. So, all right, moving on. Our next one is 5B, proposal for spring, summer, fall portable restroom on the town green. We have Meredith from the rec department on Zoom this evening. I also have letter. Do you want to give some background to this, Meredith?
Yeah. I'll give a quick little background. For a few years, we've kind of noticed that it would be really nice for the community and for the children playing in the ADA park to be able to use the bathroom. And we really noticed it once Holly Hall was closed and that the gas station was serious about charging for people to use the bathroom, in the sense you got to buy something in order to use the bathroom. It also, we noticed, also in my experience with working with kids, if you're a 3-year-old, you have about 3 minutes to get to the bathroom. And if you're 5, you got 5 minutes, and it kind of goes back in reverse too. If you're 80, you've got like 80 seconds to get to the bathroom. So how it works is, we really looked into a portalet on the town green, an ADA one. And we reached out to Wasted, and that's a new and upcoming company. Probably in March, I had a conversation with them saying, hey, we'd love to see what you guys can do for us, but we need to talk to the select board and get approval. Somewhere in that, we were scheduled for the portalet, and the actual portalet is on the town green right now, and I apologize for that. Going back into the emails, I think when in the initial conversation, they thought, oh, April 10th, we'll put the portlet in there. So I'm kind of backtracking a little bit in the sense of asking permission to have a portlet, but it was delivered on Friday and it's been well used since then.
Are you asking for forgiveness?
Yeah. Yeah, the second I saw it, I was like, oh my God. And I texted Greg and Ian and I apologized and showed them that where the scheduling would have thought, well, oh yeah, April 10th, let's deliver that portlet there.
Yeah. Yeah, so this would fall under the Bristol Public Displays and Assemblages Ordinance. We did some checking in terms of if it falls under zoning, which it doesn't, and whether it falls under the ordinance for the town green ordinance, and it doesn't. That's all pertinent to permanent structures, and this isn't a permanent structure. So this would fall under a third class permit, which that's something that requires select board approval. I don't know if members looked at the details, Meredith's letter that she sent, also the mock-up that we did in terms of having that in that location. People have questions, concerns about this particular proposal.
I just have a couple questions, Meredith. I see it's gonna be cleaned once a week. Are you gonna keep a tabs on it to make sure that it only needs once a week for
Yeah.
one? If it gets really hot, sometimes they smell really bad, even if it's not full, so I just wanna make sure that we don't leave it hanging out.
Yeah, so my schedule, I park right now for the summer, I park in across from Holly Hall, and then I do a quick walk around the park and then I head to the office. So I will be able to take a quick look at it every day. I won't be looking at the bathroom on Saturdays or Sundays, but I think probably can let that slide, I hope. Yeah, so I'll be checking it. And then the company seems really outgoing and exciting, and they use recyclable materials to build these units. They're very earth friendly. So I think if a phone call came through was like, oh my gosh, this unit is maximized, they'd be out there pretty quick.
Do you know, are they gonna like lock it down somehow to the ground so that somebody doesn't tip?
Yeah, that where it is right now is the whole point was we are planning on stump grinding the tree that we had just taken down. That was the big, I think it was the elm tree that had the emerald borash. So Sargent's is coming out. They're gonna grind that down, and that's really where we want to put it. And it's about 10 feet in from where it is right now. And then Aiden and I were coming up with a plan to create something around it to keep it where it is. Because when the wind blows, I mean, there's wind gusts that come right through there too. Thank you, Ian, for sharing that. So yeah, it might be something kind of like a lattice, but it would just be something we pull out at the end of the summer and then put dirt in. Like I have a tube for the memorial tree, something like that. Where you
don't they more?
Yeah.
They'll bring more, okay.
Yeah, which usually set around.
Yeah, I knew that.
in that part. And this is the mock-up that we made a couple of weeks ago. I just took a photograph and put it in.
Yeah.
Just to get an idea. And this is sort of sitting where the stump is going to be grinded a little bit further forward now.
Okay.
But yeah.
Do you know what day they're pumping? Cause that might make a difference, like if they're pumping on a Friday, that would get you through the weekend without any problems.
Yeah, that Peter, that's a great question. I'm gonna follow up with Armando, our sales rep from Wasted, and ask for that.
Was there, Meredith, was there a reason you didn't try the couple local?
Oh, I did. So I reached out to Dundon's, of course, because they've been our bathrooms, and then PMP Septic. And when I reached out to Wasted, I always ask, hey, can you kick a couple bucks, like donate or sponsor? And Wasted was able to, they had the lowest price for the ADA, but then they also gave us a discount. So Dundon was $240 for an ADA, and Wasted was $230, $220, but they gave it to us for $190 a month.
That's great.
Nice.
Good job, Porter.
Are you gonna use them for your camps and stuff down in Sycamore and that?
Yeah, so we also sent them a request because we have been using Dundon's there for a while. And we have them, we thought, if we do go wasted, then they're already over here, everything will work out fine. The one at Sycamore is a little tricky because we have it on the other side of the fence, the gate. Because if we have it out in the front, people see it and then they automatically leave trash in it and around it. But Wasted said they would be fine putting one there. We don't put that one there until May 1st.
I was just curious if you were gonna use the same vendor for all of them, that's all.
Yeah, I think I'd like to. And honestly, like Dundon's was, the one at Sycamore gets abused pretty good with just the dog poop. No one wants to put it in their car after they've done the dog walk. So they just leave it by the unit or in the unit or in the toilet of the unit. So, yeah. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, so that's our plan for for Sycamore.
It's there now. When would it be picked up?
We had it set for September, the end of September. It's kind of like a little bonus also for all the events that are happening on the town green. Obviously the big ones of the 4th of July and the Bristol Harvest Fest, they bring in a ton more portlets. But this is great for that birthday party that's in the park, the Wednesday band, the Monday farmers market. I mean, once you remove the ability to use the bathroom at Holly Hall or at the gas station, you really like, you just had Krista talk about community. So now this is actually a really good value to the community for those people that use the park.
And it's ADA accessible. It's a larger one.
Correct.
And then when Meredith let us know that Greg and I know on Friday that it was there, as I was going over just to see where they put it, a gentleman used it. So that was good. Already being used.
Okay. I move to approve the placement of the portable restroom on the town green as presented.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Meredith.
Thanks,
Thank
Meredith.
Okay, moving on. 5C. We've got the Water and Sewer Commission budget reviews. This is for FY 2027.
You say you're leaving?
We thought you were joining us for the whole meeting.
Oh, I had to get a taste. I've been gone so long.
Then you realize, oh, right.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you very much, Eric. So this is for FY 2027. So originally this was going to be part of our budget cycle in January. We pushed it off a little bit as we were doing some investigation for some of the items. That's all set now. So you received in your packages the two budgets, and we just want to take a quick look through them. Jill, our water operator, is online as well, if she can chime in if we have any questions. Let's do sewer first, because that's the smaller budget. And these haven't changed much from when we discussed them a few months ago. Water is the biggest change.
Really?
Questions?
No,
no.
Step up. Okay.
So overall, the sewer is at,
Can you go bigger, Ian, please?
oh, sorry, yeah. Sewer is like 2.91%. Obviously, it's a own fund, so the user fees are calculated from coming from the expenditures. Minus the interest and miscellaneous revenue. So our admin fee is the new system that we did a year ago. Instead of having it be a percentage of staff's time, which was incredibly complicated, we agreed to move it to an admin fee. That's a set amount per user. But pretty much everything else is the same as it was. We have our operating contract, which is a percentage of the overall VTUMS contract goes into this. And then supplies, maintenance and septic tank, that's our biggest item here. Obviously pumping the tanks, keeping those clean. And then we've wrapped up the bond payment that we've been paying for the last 10 years, or 12 years maybe. And we have our capital reserve fund allocation. So yeah, pretty minimal. So a 3.36 increase in terms of the user fees, quite small, and an overall 2.91.
How much is in the capital? We just started that recently, right? Years.
No, it's been going along. I don't know off the top of my head what it might be. It was in the town.
Don't need a number.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if they're on that. We can get you that number.
I mean, even when, one of the things I'd like to see the super fund is, you know, Jill has talked about it, you know, what is that, they're 25, 30 years old out there?
Yeah.
Down there, it's going to need some heavy maintenance here, repair or completely overhaul here within 5 to 10 years. I'm just gonna throw it. We don't.
I can pitch in for a moment if you would.
Pitch
So-
away.
We have not done the septic tank pumping yet in the fiscal year that you see represented as current, so that'll get used up pretty good. The failing, I guess we could call it, the like starting to show their age components are the dosing siphons. They're concrete tanks that have a built-in dosing siphon in them, so they're actually what's it called, Cyrus? Like the dosing siphon is actually like molded into the concrete. They're cast into the concrete. So we don't have a way to fix the dosing siphon counters without replacing the tank. So that's a pretty significant capital expenditure to do that. Without the dosing siphon counters, we can't tell precisely how many doses are going to each leach field. We know that we turn 4 leach fields on each year when we do the inspection of the wastewater system, which we just did last week. And we turn 3 of them off. So we rotate the 8 for year 1, for year 2. So we know that we're evenly distributing as far as what's open and what's closed. We just can't tell if it's dosing evenly between the fields because we can't see the dosing counters, and they've been broken for quite some time, since even before we started operating. And it is because they're cast into the tank. So those tanks look pretty good. The splitter box is rough. The concrete itself is doing okay, but the actual the supports for the 8 uprights in the splitter box are gone. It's still doing what it needs to do, but you're right, Joel, that we're not maybe 5-10 years away from needing to replace that splitter box. And then the other piece is we'd like to be able to add additional organic material removal ahead of the splitter box so that we don't have so much fats, oils, and greases and organics going to the splitter box in the leach field, so that we're not outside of our permit and too heavy in those high strength wastes, so that we could have new flows coming in to give an opportunity for businesses that are currently connected or structures that are currently connected, the 34 users, to possibly increase their flow or change their use. We have an opportunity to utilize certain grants that may be coming if indeed they do come to fruition.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going
we're-
down that road, because when Alan was on the board many years ago, we looked into, right now, we can't do any more sewage because it's so high strength because of the low flow toilets. And we were looking at that time was $500,000 to $600,000 to do what was that thing called, bigger? Pre-treatment to add more water to it. And,
Yeah.
you know, there's no way of growing this system, I mean, if more businesses came without doing something of that magnitude.
Yeah, that's all part of discussions that are happening at the moment with Greg and the water operators. Part of it too is just sort of figuring out the fog, the fats, oils, and grease, getting a handle on that.
Which we're proactively taking care of right now
Right.
through free education to the downtown center.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
we-
a partnership with RCAP where we're starting to see them help us get some of that education out there.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's good.
Additionally, we were ranked in the very top for regional planning prioritization list for, and pre-treatment options are included in that. So we already have, we've been prioritized and ranked and moving down that continuum as we speak right now.
You're saying that for grant purposes that were prioritized?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it possible, we haven't, I know when we started in July, the 1 cent local option tax. And part of it's gonna go to back into businesses or, I think,
Well, there's several different buckets,
but yeah,
but that one would
would that be a bucket that could help this out? Because it's gonna eventually help the businesses. If that system down the hill fails,
well, I mean, yeah, that's what
we're
that's.
gonna have a lot of porta potties down on Main Street.
Well, right, but I mean, that's small inputs over time, whereas we've gone out and already proactively been prioritized with a plan in place or the beginnings of a plan. And so in the next coming months, I will submit that plan for all of that work over there. I'm also thinking about there's work deferred maintenance that needs to be included at the pump house as well, across the river. So we're gonna try to do a one-shot fog pre-treatment as well as water, while simultaneously undergoing all these other water projects, so.
Yeah, and a lot of water changes, septic changes.
And Jill and Cy have been accommodating enough to let me come down there and
Be scared by the grossness.
Are you gonna visit it again?
yeah, when we break ground.
Should get you down there. He should have had you down there when we were agitating the tanks with the
Yeah.
air.
My God, Peeker, remember the air before we cut the holes? That was insane.
My tanks were already agitated.
All right, thank you, Joe. Any more questions on this budget?
Yeah, I'm just, we pulled that $9,000 out of the bond payment and I don't see where it went.
Capital reserve,
But capital reserve the year before was
12.
12, and so there's only,
$200.
yeah, there's only $3,000 there. And I'm just,
Well, no, I thought.
where
our-
did it
the
get,
bond
where did
payment
it
that we
get sucked
paid-
up?
I thought the bond payment was 12 grand and that's what went into the capital reserve fund.
So I don't think it got put in last year because we
Okay.
were still working through
The mess.
the confusion. Yes, they were sort of, as an enterprise fund, the capital funds remain inside the enterprise fund, unlike all of our other reserve funds that are outside of it. And so, but if you look at NEMRIC, outside of it, there are random funds that were created many years ago that tie into both sewer and water. And so stuff is being moved around and improved and updated from that. And so that's why we're still a little bit behind on the capital reserve as we move towards updating those. And so the number that you have in here isn't representative of what the actual capital reserve fund is. It's just what the actual would be if it was placed in and moved to that fund within the same fund. Does that make sense?
So of that, the where we paid the 94 or whatever,
Here?
yeah,
Yeah.
we were planning on putting that bond payment, which we all thought was $12,000, I think at the time.
Correct.
So that $12,000 hasn't got put in yet, or may not be able to be put in.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know, whatever.
essentially sitting, the enterprise fund
Sitting
is
there.
its own fund, kind of like our general fund where everything sits.
Yeah.
It's sitting in there. It just needs to be coded from one line to another.
So then then this year's
Yes.
is, the plan was to put 15 grand in.
Correct. Same thing.
So.
Yeah, we boosted it up.
$3,000 more than what the plan was, give or
Yes.
take.
Yeah. Yeah, the bonds are hard because we have a one sheet, which was done. It's a scan from many, many years ago that lays out the payments and they were all about 12 and they alter and they change each year, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's from, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And that this number is lower, but it seems that everything we've looked at seems to be that it's been paid out and it's completed. And so we just put it up to be able to sort of help us put some more money into that reserve fund as we move towards these things. But if everything goes well, we should, grant money will fund a good portion of this.
I'm just not seeing $9,000 worth of increases in that, in the budget itself, and
It's because the user fees went down. If you look at it.
What's that, Joe?
They did go up right there. Okay, user fees went from 52 to 53. Miscellaneous went from 88 to 8. We got
No,
51, 100.
he's talking about, he doesn't see where that bond payment went like into the capital funds. Like it didn't go
No.
from 12 to
Yeah, I know what he's saying, like
Yeah,
the
just,
Is
Remember,
is there a math error in the formula somewhere?
no, these are just, the numbers here are actuals and they haven't been placed in, they haven't been moved.
I'm not looking at the actuals. I'm just looking at the budgeted, all the budgeted, and there's not that $9,000 comes out and the budget goes up, but I don't see where if you take that 9,000 away, the budget should have gone down with the numbers that.
There's no 9,000 in the FY26. That's why it's only in FY27. We budgeted for nothing and we spent 94.26 in FY25.
So this was 20.
You're looking at the second column, but you need to look at the third column and the fifth column.
The actual and then the budgeted.
Yeah, that's why. So in 25, we thought that the bond was done. It wasn't. And so we actually didn't budget for it, and we had an actual of 94.26. That finished the bond.
Which okay, so that could have been ate up by the 12 that's in there.
Yeah.
All right.
And so then we finished it off. We were like, okay, we know it's definitely not gonna, we're done, budgeted nothing. We don't have any actual for 26 at the moment because it's done. That's why it changed. It was just because this is a number from 25.
Okay.
It's one budget further.
I can see what your eyes were doing. Your eyes were looking at FY 2025 and comparing it to FY 2027. You were just one column over from where you needed to be.
And then capital reserve fund, these are just placed in similar to our main capital reserves. They're moving from one line to another, but it's not a cumulative number. It's just the number that we budget for. And then we have to look at another spreadsheet that is the capital reserve fund to see the actual true amount that's in there.
So really technically in 2025, we're not going to put that 12 in there really because we basically use that to pay the bond payment.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we thought
that
it had ended, but we still got that final payment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. Yeah.
It's confusing, I know.
And you said that between now, Jill, and the fourth column says through 426, so.
Yes.
The maintenance and septic tank plumbing.
This number.
You've got about $17,000 between that and what you budgeted. You're gonna spend.
We're gonna try to do both sides. We haven't done either side in FY26. We did we did 2 in FY25. That's why you see the actual expenditure of 22,952. All that's right there in the 5874 is all the splitter box pumping. And then part of the miscellaneous and allocation revenue, that's reimbursement for the ones that aren't us. So those offset each other. So like you got 5874 and then the 2639.25 comes out of that. So they're an offset. So like the actual splitter box that's us versus the grease traps that are done at the same time. There may or may not be everything paid back in that FY26 actuals line in income.
Right.
As we budgeted like 8,000 and we've gotten like, 2,600 so far. So I bet you there's probably half another $2,000 worth of that's not ours that should be paid back in an income line. And yeah, the bond is finally actually paid off. We just thought it was paid off a year earlier and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it as an average, there's 34 connections. It's about, as an average, a little under $2,000 a year for each user on an average. That's not the actual billings, but if you normalize it across the connections, that's about the average. A little under 2,000 a year.
Thank you very much. approve the
I
FY.
thought we were gonna do both of them.
Oh, sorry.
They're
Well,
all-
because they're
They're
separate conditions, that why.
Make a motion to accept the sewer budget as presented.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
All right, and motion to second. All those in favor, all right, further questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Right.
Aye. All those against, nay? Motion carries. All right, thank you.
And speak clearly, because I really, you were just mumbling.
I'm just mumbling.
Talking to yourself.
I just thought we were switching over because it said.
No,
water
well,
and
because I think
sewer.
it's not what, it's, is it water and sewer? They're both, they're separate. right?
They are
They're
separate.
Yeah, so that's the
They
thing
should
you
be
might want to, yeah.
5C, it just says water and sewer.
Well, because it's a water
Don't mix
commission
the
and
two.
sewer commission, so
I know.
that's the thing.
I know they're separate.
You can mix them at your house. I won't come visit.
Okay. Here's our water budget.
I have several questions,
Sure.
and I don't know if I wasn't paying attention or I asked these same questions the last
No.
time.
Possibly,
Okay,
but possibly not.
what's covered in the water services line?
Okay, so the water services line is a change in terms of how we previously did the revenues for it. So prior to this, wait 1 second, let me see if I can find this. Let's open this one.
And
Is that-
isn't it the water services fee for like new connections and allocations?
Fees and that, okay. All right, so that, but currently or previously, that was all put under the miscellaneous revenue line, is that
It
correct?
was spread out throughout the budget, so that'll also include like the Lawrence Lane payments, anything of those revenues that.
Mhm. Okay,
Yes, so essentially what we did is, I sent some questions to Chris made some suggestions, which I updated here. And essentially it's a sort of catch-all in terms of water services. And then our miscellaneous revenue, as you can see, like in actual 2025, we budget for 100, but 11,000 came in. So
Yeah.
we're gonna start dividing and coding it
Moving that
a
into
little
the
bit
right
better,
spot.
just because we have this catch-all of water services that can do all that. So the suggestion was that we, instead of doing it as 100, we do it as 1,000. Even though you can see we've got 14,000 actual at the moment. And then that 14,000, we're gonna budget that in water services and sort of just move where things are coming in. And so you see these large percentage changes, but really it's just, we're just moving stuff and how stuff comes in.
What's that old saying? Figures don't lie, but.
I'm gonna just mention for the admin fee for sewer and for water, you guys could set up a recurring journal entry on a monthly basis for that and just take it, divide it by 12 and do a journal entry at a particular date each month. And then it would normalize that over the month and over the year so that each month, if there's a budget report, you can kind of see where you're sitting.
Yeah, or we continue down the path where it stays in the same process when we move over all of the annual allocations, so it's a single process, it doesn't miss. It's reoccurring, it's not a system, it's a manual calendar entry to remember to do it if we miss it. So doing this in one fell swoop is a more clean methodology.
Okay, do you do it like beginning of the year, mid-year, end of year?
Mid-year,
Mid-year on the fiscal year, so like December, January-ish?
in a couple weeks, actually.
Okay, yeah, because like the fiscal year that we're in right now, it says 2772, so there's like 15,632.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure you've got to have the side, the balancing side to put it into your admin, but your general budget for admin.
it's fixed costs, so it's a moot point.
Yeah, if it can't be automatic, then I think doing a single in where we deem it best, I think is the way to
That
go.
was the recommendation that we were given.
Yeah.
okay, insurance line. That went down, but we've only paid 35, is that just because we haven't gotten a bill yet for this year? And why did we go down if the last 2 years we paid about $1,400? Or last year, at least prior years.
Yeah, are they giving us a better deal finally? Woo.
Well, some of our insurance did go down in the general,
Right.
so I'm not sure.
Temporarily.
Right,
That
that's true.
that was a temporary.
Yes.
Yeah, but we've only paid $35.86. I'm like, that seems odd.
No, I'll have to look at that because there should be more in there, because we've already paid one, two quarters. We should be getting another bill here for the third quarter.
Okay.
So we definitely paid more than $35. Okay. Then the utilities, I thought we saw a drop in our utility costs, so I'm curious as to why
We did.
we're leaving it at 45.
GMP looks like a drop, but you have to add the solar.
Solar, yeah.
And I found today there was about $2,800 that were misappropriated to DPW that was actually water solar fees, so those were adjusted as of this morning.
Yeah, we thought with the VFDs that we would be using less electricity, but we have had some issues with the pump house and leaks, things like that, which then can cause it to run longer. But I know that Jill and Co are actively looking at why, we know
Why
some of
still-
them, we know some of them are leaks and it's just running
Right.
longer.
We'll see where it's going up, so you also
Yeah.
factor in the rates are gonna go up.
Mhm.
So you-
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's why we put it, we initially had it lower, hoping that it would improve itself, but looking at that we've already done 32, 45 seemed appropriate.
And the next question is supplies. If I remember right, we moved some of that into the meters, touchpads, and now we separated those
Correct.
out. And that's why there's.
Well,
Again, that
I'm
was
gonna
a-
touch on another piece too, is that if you guys have like, let's say you guys have a valve that fails or a hydrant that needs to get replaced or curb boxes or curb valves that need to get replaced, should we be, rather than calling that a supply or a meter or touchpad, should we be using the capital fund for that? Because
Yes,
they're
sir.
technically in-ground assets?
That is what will be happening going forward.
Yes, so
No,
for those particular things, they won't be reflected in this budget, they'll be using the capital fund.
Okay, just thought I'd mention that because there's usually, a handful of those each year. So there'll be contracted services will pay for whomever does the services that are needed for whichever thing needs to be done. And then we'll discuss with Treasurer, Greg, etc. about how to code the material portion of each of those repairs.
Yeah, just because it goes towards the full liability of the water system for those kind of repairs.
Makes
I-
sense.
Capital equipment is for large
Yeah, I'm
projects.
like that idea, if you blow a hydrant. The old days, we used to budget for like 3 hydrants a year, 2 hydrants a year. I know they've improved them a lot because we're doing streets, we're gonna do a lot more.
So why?
I'm not, well, I don't think we ought to take it out of capital, that's
Why?
for something. It's something huge down over the hill. We took it out of what was this system we put in down there? Control box for the controls.
Yeah.
Took that out of capital, yeah, cause you can't budget for that. Make you spike up one year and then way down the next year, but.
Good. I mean, if we do that, Joel, you need to put $30,000 back into your supply line then.
Well, it's got 30 there now, I see it.
Well, that's the meters and
Mhm.
touch.
That's in meters and touchpads, and that's intended to start moving in part of the system into the radio read. And if that's the case, I don't think $7,500 is enough if we end up having a couple of lines and valves and a few other things to do. I don't feel like that's quite enough for the bigger capital like supplies of in-ground material.
Right. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the touchpad line is basically anything above ground. That is the intent of that. It's touchpads, plumbing, miscellaneous.
How is it any different than using the capital building fund to fix the roof on this building?
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
I just want to make sure that there's a budget for it and that it's not like if I've got to replace like 2 sticks of DI and 2 valves and a hydrant, that it's not like, well, you have $7,500. Good luck.
We could budget for it and you run into a case where you have to spend it. I think, we have a healthy capital fund. We know that for the foreseeable future, a lot of the funding that comes from water upgrades is going to be bond based. And so, we've been actively putting in greater amounts of capital funding to be able to balance that borrowing out. Some of the capital funds might be used to go back and pay down some of what expenses as we go on and as we start to work into those bonds. But there's plenty there to be able to do the things that the water department needs to do for materials that are under the ground, are gonna sit there for 10 or 20 years. So that was the thinking in terms of using that.
Well, I think if that river crossing goes. Figure, give me another.
Sure, but that's also,
That's huge. There goes your capital and not, you know, just, maybe we budget for 3 valves and 3 hydrants a year and leave it in that. To what Chris was saying,
But
that's not 75.
Go back to supply line, you need to put $30,000 in supply line to
yeah,
cover what you were spending previously on those parts. Over the historical of the last 4 to 5 years.
yeah,
So we would have to add, either reduce your capital. Monies that you're putting into that fund, or we increase the budget by another $30,000. Which will add about another $1 per 1,000 gallons per quarter per user.
yeah, the idea is to attempt to keep the water.
Well, I thought the goal was to keep the capital up, so when they tell us, oh, you
The
got.
debt service.
The debt
It's
service.
it's actually not just the debt service, guys. It's that bottom number, total expenditures, the 484. Whatever numbers we add together to get to that if that equals 1% of the median household income or higher, that's when, if we don't have these other special subsidy programs that we've been super fortunate to get into, we won't get any subsidy until that number's bigger than like 670,000.
Yeah, but it's not a reason to increase. I think because we are putting in a lot more into our capital fund than we ever have, just because of that are happening in the next 6 years, we're gonna have a fund that's big. So I think to put in the things and not have them in a supplies line and just have them in capital will work fine. And as Greg mentioned earlier, the work that's being done both for the septic side of things and water, that's actively being looked at for future updates.
Okay, so let me ask a question. If you do it that way, which I'm not sure I agree with it or not, but are you gonna have an accurate picture of what we actually spend? Because technically, to me, that should be part of the budget that you know you're spending it on. And if it's out of the capital, you really know that you're spending that.
I mean,
guess.
It has been that for years. It has been that for years, Michelle, and that's why I was like, this is an actual physical change in how you're budgeting. So just be aware that you would have to pull out of your capital equipment fund in order to do larger things like hydrants and valves, because you're not going to be able to do a couple of those for $7,500.
And you can easily do an end of year or middle year or quarter evaluation of capital funds. I mean,
Jill, what do we do with the hydrants that, like the ones we took off Pine Street, now we're gonna do what, 3 or 4 streets this summer?
So
What do we do?
there's 3 of them down at the highway garage, and so far we've robbed parts off of 2 of them to repair 2 other existing hydrants. So they're being used for spare parts.
I mean, that's where I'm going, if one, not a brand new one, but one gets hit, an old one. And we're gonna go buy that street in 2 years, maybe we'll just replace it with another old one until it's all part of the bond payment that, Munson is.
Well, we have specifically not replaced any hydrants in the last 2 years because the Bristol West, East, and Rockydale are happening. It doesn't make sense unless there's something failing in an area that's not in the 1905s.
any more questions, Michelle?
No, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, so slight changes there in terms of where we might pull money from. And we've got our debt service in here. The Pine Street, the 2024 is just a coding. We need to update that. That's why that number is not there.
Is that half the payment, $10,901? Cause that'll add up to 21.
Correct.
Two.
Yes, it's 2 payments a year.
2
for
payments
now.
a year.
Yeah.
Second one hasn't been made, okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so it's just an 8.04 increase. Or 7.24 in terms of the water fees. And then once this is approved, it gets adopted, and then the water fees are
I ran it today. It's gonna be $8 per thousand. It's gonna go up $1.50.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Right, because it's $650 right now.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll need to update the appendix of the for the water rates and update that.
I realize percentages there, but under equipment and supplies, the first line says it's up 100%.
100%. Right, because we went from 500 to 7,500.
Right, and then the next 3 are 0.
Because they haven't increased.
Right, yeah, so how do we end up with 17.9? Isn't that
Because
much?
it's all the,
Is that all the way down through?
No,
No.
it's always across. So it's the 17.9 is 39.1, up to 46.1.
Okay.
It's always across. It's a little confusing when you're dealing with really large number changes and you see it only 17, but that's the reason.
So that went up $4,500.
Yeah, the idea obviously is we hope that we're raising this enough to be able to accommodate everything that needs to happen within the year for the water system, but knowing that trying to keep it low and be mindful of that, because we're going to have 3 more bond payments come in over the next 6 years. Or it'll be, I guess, 10 years.
But luckily I saved $2 million, Joe.
That's right. No. Any further?
Fill us in later.
I will say, I think in the actual expenditures for the last 2 line items, I think those are supposed to go under contracted services. One was the paving and the other was I don't think we're supposed to put actual expenses under the 2 capital lines. I think those go up in actual contract services and equipment and supplies, and that 100,000 and the 3,000 get allocated to the capital equipment for water, and then the capital roads paving under highway, the 3,000.
Correct. Yeah, just a recoding. And then similar to the sewer fund, the capital equipment fund plan is internal. It's within that enterprise fund. It's not a separate fund outside of that like our other reserves. All right. I entertain a motion.
I move to approve the FY 2027 Water Commission budget as presented.
So
Okay.
I'll let the 2 people who don't pay water bills do it, right, Jessica?
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. 5D, appointment, reappointment of town officers and representatives. I'll go through this list quickly and then we can do a single vote at the end. So we have the Addison County Regional Planning Commission. Ron Dennis has agreed for another year of that.
Nice.
I'd like to thank Sally Burrell for her time on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. She's stepping down. This committee has 2 vacancies currently. If you're interested in the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, please contact Town Clerk Sharon Lucia or Chris Dedeka, who's the committee chair. Design Review Commission, Jim Weening has agreed to go on for another 3 years. Thank you. Same thing for Development Review Board. Ted Desmond has agreed to another 3 years. Energy Committee has 2 vacancies. Again, if you're interested, contact Sharon, Town Clerk, or you can contact Ben Scalostra. He's the committee chair for the Energy Committee. We have a couple additional final ones for the Equipment Committee, Alan Clark and Randy Sargent. And then I'd like to thank Darla, Krista, and Brian for their work on the Equity Committee. They're stepping off. And we have Ben, who's agreed to do another year for the Maple Broadband. And also I'd like to thank John Moyers for his time serving on the Planning Commission and the Development Review Board. The Planning Commission currently has 1 vacancy. If you're interested, contact AZ Larson, our Planning and Zoning Administrator, or Commission Chair Kevin Hansen. So I entertain a motion for all those people who agreed to continue their good work.
Second.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? On your little note, you have Brad and Tanya to be appointed. Are they supposed to be appointed or are they not?
What did I say? Oh, sorry, I jumped through. Right. So Brad and Tanya for Bicycle Pedestrian. Okay. Zipping over things. Okay, so we got a motion in a second. Any further questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, 5E, Select Board Roundtable. Jessica.
I just had a question about if the town needs to do anything for the house that caught on fire on East Street.
I was gonna ask.
Okay,
The status of that, if you.
because I walked by and things are falling off it on the sidewalk.
Yeah, so they're working with their insurance company, and that is all coming its completion here.
But should we like rope it off? That's now.
The town is not equipped to handle abatement or whatever sort of health protocols are necessary to do that.
No, I just meant the sidewalk. So I walk by with my dog and when it's windy, the roof has peeled off and is hanging down and now things are coming off and landing on the sidewalk and breaking. So far, it hasn't happened when I'm under it, but.
It's dangerous.
Yeah,
It's dangerous. It shouldn't take them this long. I mean, I understand they're fighting with the insurance company, but they've already done an evaluation. It should be able to be
I'm
taken.
just concerned because where the house is so close to the sidewalk and with the roof hanging down, things are falling on it. I've managed to avoid it so far, but I just don't know, like, do we need to let them know? I mean, what is our role as the town? Do we need to like let them know that it's dangerous or do we put up a?
We
sign
unfortunately
in the
don't have a
middle?
policy. We've kind of talked about this a while ago, but we don't have a policy, so.
We can revisit that,
Okay.
but I mean, you're not, I want it all done too, but it's just.
Right.
How to do it and how to do it the right way.
Yeah, and I don't mean that we should be pressuring them or anything, it's just I noticed with the wind that things were hitting the sidewalk and the sidewalk is ours, so. That's the part where I was like, I didn't know where we come into it, if it's.
Liability wise.
Right, right.
Well, the insurance company's the one that's gonna be liable, I mean, or, yeah, the insurance company, the owner's liable, but the insurance company's the one that's gonna have to pay, so.
They're gonna have to defend if something happens.
I know, but if that ice guard comes off that's hanging down right now, I'm gonna be like dead, me or the dog.
No, I get it. I get it.
Well, you have to look at it the same way you would, like when we had the windstorm here, we lost slate off in this building, if that hit somebody, we would have been liable. The shingles that blew off my own personal home, if that hit somebody, done damage, my insurance company's
Right,
liable.
but
this is a known
it's a
issue.
known, like something that's like a
It's
natural
foreseeable.
disaster.
Yeah,
This is like literally
foreseeable.
hanging by a thread. If you walk by, you'll see what I mean, it's like peeled off.
Oh, no, I.
Yeah, so it's like literally just hanging there. So that's what I was just worried about, if it's on the sidewalk, I didn't know if we needed to.
I'm sure we can certainly have that.
Okay, and then the only other thing I was going to say is that, next week I will be in China, so I will still be joining the meetings, but I'll be on Zoom. And
That's not acceptable, you gotta fly back.
it's a 12-hour time difference, so it'll be 7 a.m., so I'll be drinking my coffee.
It won't be 3 a.m.
We think we ought to go back to 6 o'clock.
No.
All right, Joel, do you have anything?
I have.
Okay, Michelle?
I just wanna ask, Sharon, have you heard from, Jim on the tax sale on that one down here? The estate one?
Wanda's gonna be here tomorrow morning. I know they're doing some research on it. We're probably gonna have to open up.
I think we've waited long enough. I don't know what else he's gonna do.
Well, I don't know. Apparently he's going out to have some medical thing done, so I've gotta talk to her tomorrow when she's here. We're looking, I think it may be the end of May,
Okay,
so.
and we might as well just open the estate and bite the bullet.
Yeah, and I found today Cheryl Carter's daughter came in. We didn't know who she was, but she told us today.
Or up
And
here,
there's,
the one
yeah,
up here.
the other estate,
Mhm.
so I sent that information. Cause we've got the 2 grandchildren's phone numbers too, as well as her daughter's.
Mhm.
So she said she would help how she could. They were under the impression it was gonna go to the husband. I said his name's not on anything and he's already deceased as well,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Anything else, Michelle?
I'm sure there was something else, but I can't remember what it is, so that's it for now.
Peter?
Has anybody else been bugged about Act 181?
Oh,
Other than a front porch floor.
well, sorry, Peter, I talked to Kevin Brown. He goes, I haven't read it yet, Joel, I can't give it an opinion. He was buying a chainsaw, trying to buy a chainsaw. Saturday, we basically did it.
I read through it after a couple of concerned citizens approached me and they asked if we were gonna discuss it all. That's the act that also gave us the tier 1B. But I guess the big concern is that it's gonna push anything, any development or anything with an access road over
800 feet.
800 feet, and then if it's 800 feet plus the driveway's up to 2,000 feet, and there's, they're they took Act 250 away from the bigger projects, the centralized projects, and basically shoved it onto the outlying areas, so anybody that wants to develop out
Any-
there, yeah.
Well, I mean, just so you know, that 800-foot requirement was there several years ago. They took it out. Now they're just putting it back in. It
Okay.
used to be there. But they took it out and now they're putting
Yeah,
it
and
back
then, and then some of the land use rules are changing.
in. Yeah, I haven't read it all yet either.
People are pretty excited about that. And you know, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. They're making it harder to get stuff out of land use once it's put in.
Mhm.
Which,
That shouldn't be the case.
well,
Even they have to pay a penalty if they take
right,
it out anyway.
right. But I just didn't know where the rest of the board stands on it.
I haven't read it completely yet, so I can't give an opinion.
I think we gotta point it to the planning and zoning board and say, where do you think we should, stand?
Well, we've already accepted tier 1.
Yeah, we have,
The
and
new
that's
map
that.
hasn't been out. The new tier 3 map is.
Well, here's.
Is that gonna be the Notch Road or Upper Notch and, Upper Harts Gravel and that area?
That's later, that's December of this year.
Has that, so tell me, has this truly passed, or is it passed the House and is in the Senate? Or
No.
That's what I'm trying to understand where it's at.
I believe it's passed and it takes effect July 1. Unless they repeal it or extend it.
Extend.
They're looking at extending it to what, 2030?
Yeah.
2028, 2030.
I would imagine this is gonna get massaged and altered several more times.
Yeah.
And because some of those restrictions weren't in there initially.
When we voted for the tier,
Correct.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
like they kind of build it as
Build it and they will come type of thing.
higher density
Right,
removal.
which we
barriers.
wanted to do anyway.
And then after the fact, they kind of hit us with seemed like a lot of rural restrictions, which was like, whoa, this is not exactly so. I'm aware
They
that-
kicked it back into Act 250 is what they did.
Yeah.
You know, the idea was they were gonna streamline stuff, so you didn't have to go through Act 250 as long as you met the town and did what you had to do for stormwater and wastewater.
I would imagine I see them having a waiver process of some sort. That only makes sense because
So to what you're saying there, I agree 100%. Should we write a letter saying we feel that it ought to be at least discussed for waiver?
I mean, there's plenty of folk up there
Yeah.
protesting it, steps
Yeah,
to the
they are.
Capitol who are using stronger language than any letter we can write.
Right,
We can go up there, I'll go there with you. Come on, let's go back to the 70s.
Yeah,
This is a little change.
No,
Do a sit-in?
Burn your-
Lock arms and.
Well, burn no bras, man. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that are up in the air with this still.
when I asked Kevin, he was, like I said, he was over there in Bristol, and I said, I've been reading them a little bit. I
Him
don't
out
know."
and out when he's not working.
Well, no, he asked me, he said, what do you think of this chainsaw, this one? I said, well, it's a Husqvarna, you better buy an oil pan for it. Right, you put it on your floorboards, it's gonna leak.
They're all the same.
So anyway.
Speaker, anything else?
Are we just gonna sit back and watch this is what we're saying?
There's not much we can do.
I know there's not much we can do. I'm curious as if anybody else has heard anything about it.
Maybe the five of us, yeah.
Yeah.
At least.
I know it's not settled yet, but
I'm following it so that, and given the amount of discussion around it, as you said, it's probably gonna go through many more.
I'm
versions.
sure it
Yeah,
is.
We could, if we have concerns as a town and what we've agreed to or what we've put our name to, we could have AZ look at it and then update us if they feel it's necessary in terms of what's happened between when we agreed to do that and what's happened.
Well,
up to
yeah,
now.
like, can we repeal that decision and then,
Right.
once they finally
Yeah.
get it done,
Yeah, I imagine.
there's gonna be something.
Yeah.
Well, and the other piece too is, as it comes closer, Bristol's doing it by itself, writing a letter and fine, so it doesn't help.
No.
But if you pull in the rest of the rural communities around us, if a dozen or 20 communities around us all stand up and have the same concern, because it's gonna cripple the rural communities, and we stand as a group, then that has some voice, that has some possible cash on the backside. So that would be possibly your next route.
But also, we didn't like sign on to everything in it. What we did
Right.
is we said we want to participate under
Yeah,
this one
under that
status,
criteria.
which we've already agreed
We
to.
opted.
Right,
Keywords,
we
right.
opted
Yeah.
to participate in creating more density, but we had, the planning commission and we had all decided that anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to do anything. I think we should just have AZ and the rest of us need to watch it. And there might become a point where we want to have a bigger conversation or maybe add our voices, but I just don't think that we're there yet.
Yeah.
I think now it's just the point of like a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Well,
could,
the concerns I've been reached out to have nothing to do with us being a tier 1B.
Right.
It's with the other stuff that's happened out beyond, and I was just curious if anybody else had been approached.
No, I've been following it, but yeah, I haven't reached out to.
You're close to those.
maybe we
people
could
who are
ask-
moving.
Yeah, well, that's,
You're obviously close to the land, that's why.
yes, well,
And I'm not.
Ian, maybe we could ask our representative on the regional planning. What is regional planning's thought?
Right. That would be, I mean, we would do that through, AZ, just in terms of there, because
Okay.
they work with regional planning
Right.
to do that, so, yeah, we could do that.
So then, if, you know, we net said, well, no, regional planning is writing and participating in blah, blah, blah. Or we can at least, we could say that to a person who's come up to him and said, no, we're not just sticking our head in the sand going, well, we don't know.
Well, I'll get with AZ and we'll get some up-to-date talking points to be able to bring back to you so you can
Okay.
discuss where we're at with
Right.
residents and community members and you know, this is kind of how it's going here right now. So
Sounds good.
felt like we were taking a couple steps forward and
Yeah.
they pulled the
Yeah.
rug out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just kidding. We
I just said.
Kind of like our landed bombs.
You know, like Lucy in the football. Right, Lucy in the football. And yeah, well, John Brennan.
Anything else, Beaker?
no, that's it.
Okay, I continue to work on the policy updates, and I think at the next meeting, we'll have an update about that, where we stand with those, and also we'll decide, because the other thing was policy that we shall have in terms of the, town warning and, related items, for, town meeting. 5F, town administrators report. correct?
Yep, Holly Hall and Lawrence Memorial Library are undergoing deconstruction. Everything looks really good under them walls. Very surprising.
I know.
But yeah, we're keeping things on cost, we're keeping everyone on task and on time.
We're saving money in certain areas.
We are
as we
doing
discovered, which is
that.
good.
Great.
As well as, we may, LML is probably is eligible for some energy related incentives. Ian's working through that.
Yeah, through Efficiency Vermont, hopefully, Green Mountain. There's rebates for certain parts of the equipment. There's also the biggest rebates through insulation. So hopefully our insulating that we're doing in this building and.
It's nothing to retire on.
No, it's not, but it helps.
It all.
Every penny helps.
Well, it does, because it all adds up. See, Westwater, last week we had our pre-construction meeting with Munson, working through phasing plans, as well as interim financing for us. That's gonna come hot and heavy here pretty soon, and I can brief you all more of that as we get down there. Town staff and myself are working through a memorandum of understanding with the absorption of Lawrence Memorial Library. As of right now, we're anticipated to have them adopted in 1 July, if everything is as we need it and worked out. Municipal Planning Grant 26, AZM is the lead on that and is working with our external stakeholders. Let's see, we were placed on the regional prioritization at number 2 for Northern Borders. And in that application, I included Bristol East. Give me a second. Bristol East customer service line replacement as well as pre-treatment for the downtown area. So if there's still funding there, we'll be ranked, we're in line and we'll be ranked. So I would anticipate probably in the next, I'll have that application in pretty promptly in the next couple months. Well, I'll talk with you all about what that looks like and what our goals are for that. But really it's just sewing up infrastructure, deferred maintenance, bring up the BOD capacity. We have plenty of volume capacity, as you heard, but it's that BOD capacity. And in doing so, will leave us opportunity for growth in the downtown area there. And then if we can I'm going to try to include the pump house, that is some deferred maintenance we have there. Maybe add some redundancies because that is our primary water source for now. And so we'll try to wrap that all together in one go while we're also doing all these other things. So, but also, I mean, we were also placed on the forgiveness prioritization list for Bristol East water as well. The Bristol West was the forgiveness at 50%. So you guys, before I got here, went to a town vote, bonded for 3.9. Munson came in with their bid. That number, with minus the difference of the water service line, will be cut in half, is what the town owes for debt servicing. So in the millions. And then we likely will see that on Bristol East as well. And then have additional funding streams thrown on that to broaden the scope and capabilities of our downtown infrastructure. So.
Greg, I'm sorry, can I ask you, you said something about the library, you're talking about them becoming a department within the
Yes,
town,
ma'am.
okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I
So
heard you right, so I just wanted to get.
easier said than done on paper, but there's a litany of operational
Right.
as financial fidelity things that the team here are working
Yeah.
through. But I mean, the library, Katie, they're great, so we're just trying to work those things out so we can have a streamlined process. And that's all I got tonight.
That's it. Plenty great. Good job.
All right, item 6, other business, correspondence, reports, communications received.
I have been getting a few, so. Don't know what the proper name for this area is with the trash.
Oh, it's up, it's at Anita Carter's, the top of Cartersville.
Cartersville.
I mean, not Anita Cheryl's, where the house is abandoned, they've been having, people have been dumping trash on the front lawn, basically.
Yeah, I was talking to Bruce Chief about that today. That sounds like it's probably a state thing, or maybe it's somewhere. Yeah, the sheriff's department deals with. But I would imagine if it's ended up at.
Call Don at the transfer station.
Okay.
Cause they put up trail cameras. right past.
That's what I was going to suggest, was a truck.
They're all in district.
I do not mind going out there and picking up trash myself. I would love to get out of the office.
Even if it is to go pick up trash.
Better opportunities to do that.
Yeah, staying getting it if I need to, if these guys are worried about me escaping.
Hey, I saw stayed out here picking up trash on Rocky Dale Road today.
I took him out of the office, but he didn't pick up trash.
I got some sweet maple syrup. I don't know what the answer to that is, but it's not in line with any value around Bristol here, so. Also, if no one takes the lead and the leadership do anything, it'll never get done, or the same nice old lady down there is gonna be doing the road gang stuff herself, so. We'll have to figure out a
I'll
way.
do it cleanup day.
Yeah, that'll happen. I mean, Sheriff Department has also been very generous in terms of
Sure.
working with Conservation Commission to do other areas too, cleaning up.
I also was asked, this is a first for me. They're getting me back some templated paperwork from the state, but a family recreational activity was inquiring about, and I'm probably gonna mess this name up, sluicing, basically panhandling for gold in the river, and so.
It's the use of a sluice box where you
Sluice box, right.
run material line through it.
Yeah, I mean, I get the action, it's the
Right,
name, I
but-
can sleep,
But
but,
why? In our river?
yeah, well, the water, I mean.
I personally, I would say you gotta call.
Well, they're working with the state, I'm just telling you about
Yeah.
interesting
I
correspondence.
was gonna say, the state.
ANR and Fish and Game. This was, we don't own the.
It stood out of the other 847 emails I got.
Interesting.
Just wanted to tell you about that, so
Anything else?
that's it.
Okay, I don't have anything. We do have an executive session
Yes, we do.
I move that we enter into executive session for one VSA, section 313, sub A, sub 1, sub A, to discuss the contract and invite town administrator Greg.
Thanks, Chris and Sharon.
Second.
Goodbye, Sharon.
Motion is second. All
Have a
those
good
in favor
night.
say aye.
Bye.
All those against nay. Motion carries. Executive session. Thank you very much. Okay. Say.
She'll be out of my call.
When you get off.
Who's my fault and who's my? Anybody know?
No idea.
What's that?
What's changed since the last time?
Oh,
When we do,
All of it?
when he does the minutes,
A bunch.
I don't know who they are.
Right.
So she's
when was
like,
the last time we
she-
talked? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
A lot.
I mean.
A lot.
I think-
You need to explain it now.
You can if you want. I know
We're all
folks.
looking at something.
Yeah, we need
I'll put
to,
it.
um,